No place like the Q.
Coming across your airwaves, dance with me. It's an intersection all day. And it's gonna bring you the weekly.
Family, is the news overwhelming? Is it just too much? Well, I get you, and I got you.
Yeah.
Family, this is your favorite queer radio personality, Anna Deshawn, and this is Queer News, your favorite weekly news pod where race and sexuality meet politics, culture, and entertainment. This is your number one stop for queer news done right, only on E3 Radio.
Basically, almost every term we use for ourselves is a reclaimed slur, like right down to lesbian. Lesbian was not a nice word when lesbians claimed it. And I love that for us, right? That we're like, yeah, no, you can throw all these words at us and we're just going to take them and own them.
Thank you. All lesbians go to heaven shirt. Took all that passion and actually put into work in their own communities when it comes to being queer, when it comes to politics, when it comes to social action, and not just have little Twitter thumbs and start talking BS. I don't care. When was the last time you voted?
I love the harshness of dyke. If I was a lesbian, I would absolutely be a dyke. Like, it just sounds like a word that does not involve cis men, right? Like, it's just like, we do not involve cis men, and we do not care that you have an opinion on whether or not we involve cis men.
Ooh, it was so spicy. That was a clip from the panel I co-moderated on Friday as part of Lesbian Visibility Week. It was called The Terms We Use, and we discussed all the terms, okay? Femme, butch, sapphic, flinta, dyke, WLWs, queer, child, we can go on and on, okay? It was so much fun. And I will let you all know when it's up on YouTube so you can watch it if you missed it live, okay? And speaking of the lesbians, we wanted to highlight a very special one for this week's podcast. Shanta, she also goes by Sean Smith Cruz, is New York's newly appointed chief keeper of records, okay? She will oversee the city's archives, libraries, and records and guide how future preservation of these records should be enacted. She also corresponds with the general public who want access to specific government records. She is in control, okay? Sean is a librarian herself and has 2 decades worth of experience working in libraries and archives. When asked by The Advocate about the responsibilities of her role, Sean replied, "It's really responding to FOIA requests or people who are thinking about open access to government data, government records, government information. That is something that is right for all people." Family, as a journalist, FOIA requests are so critical. Having access to government records are so important. And knowing what we have access to is so important, especially right now, especially under this administration. And child, having a Black lesbian, okay, in control of the records, I'm here for this. Come on now. QCrew was good as always, and forevermore. Thank you. Thank you for your continued support and helping me sustain this podcast. I wouldn't want to do it without Ryan, and y'all help me to cover his costs, okay? And if you're not part of the QCrew, but you believe in the work we do, you believe LGBTQ stories need to be amplified, you love and respect how I report on the news and tell our stories, join the QCrew, okay? A link is in the show notes. And family, don't forget, the Queer News Tip Line stays open for you 24/7, 365. Got a queer organization we should know about? Got a song coming out? Is there news in your community that we should know about? I love hearing them all. How to submit is in the show notes, and I hope to hear your voice really, really soon. Now for the news. An imprisoned trans woman has beat the state of Oregon and is going to receive a sizable settlement. Let's talk about it. In politics, Texas Tech University prohibits students from writing about queer topics, and Idaho gets creative in the face of a pride flag ban. In sports, the WNBA will induct 5 LGBTQ women into their Hall of Fame. And then in culture and entertainment, the Denver queer community joined together in an attempt to save their only lesbian bar. Let's get into it. Family, for our top news story, the state of Oregon has been ordered to pay an imprisoned trans woman $295,000 as part of a lawsuit settlement. That's right, she won, okay? Zira Lola Zombie is the woman at the center of this case, and her team of lawyers first sought legal action back in 2021. Child, it just takes so much time. And we want to give a quick warning. for you all listening that this case has some mentions of abuse and sexual assault. Now, in 2021, Zara filed a lawsuit alleging she was abused repeatedly by fellow incarcerated people and some of the staff at the Two Rivers Correctional Institute where she was being held. According to the lawsuit, Zara faced, quote, ongoing harassment and verbal, mental, and psychological abuse by both prisoners and staff as a result of her sex, gender, and gender identity. And we know this isn't an uncommon story, right? Then in 2023, Zara was classified as a vulnerable party by U.S. District Judge Ann Aiken. That classification should have protected Zara from invasive body cavity searches, for example, but it did not. She alleged that later that same year, she was strip searched as part of a drug test where no drugs were found. After that, Zara eventually was transferred to the women's prison Coffee Creek Correctional Facility, where she continues to stay today. In response to the settlement, a state corrections department representative told reporters, "We take all allegations of sexual abuse seriously and are committed to addressing them thoroughly and responsibly. We uphold our duty to protect those in our custody, guided by a zero-tolerance policy for sexual abuse and harassment. Prevention remains a priority, and we are dedicated to eliminating sexual assault and misconduct in Oregon's correctional facilities." Well, I mean, they had a good PR person. That sounded really, really good. But I'm sure Zara is not the only one who had this experience, right? She's just the one who had the means and opportunity to actually file a lawsuit. Now, the actual payment in the amount of $295,000 is going to be split between Zara and her team of lawyers, because that's how this thing works. And Zara, she still has to serve out the remainder of her sentence. She's set to be released in 2049. Now, in politics, let's move to Texas. Don't Say Gay, which we're all very familiar with, right? Well, at Texas Tech University, apparently you can't write gay either. The university has issued a ban on students writing their theses or dissertations on LGBTQ plus discussion topics. In addition, professors have to refrain from teaching anything related to LGBTQ plus discussion topic. Now, the memorandum that was issued to the university president by the current chancellor and former Republican politician Brandon Creighton states that concurrently, this memorandum establishes phase-out and closure guidance for certain academic programs. The TTU system is initiating the closure, and Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board teach-out process for all academic programs centered on sexual orientation and gender identity, including undergraduate majors, minors, certificates, and graduate degrees. The TTU system will no longer offer academic credentials in these fields, but all currently enrolled students will be able to complete their degrees. This memorandum affects nearly 64,000 students that make up Texas Tech, and many of them are upset with this sudden and discriminatory change. Students whose certificates and degrees focused on gender identity and sexual orientation will be excommunicated by June of this year. And from then on, those programs will stop accepting new students. Family, in a current administration that's hell-bent on removing queer history, the elimination of these programs is dangerous for the prevention and continued study of queer history. 25-year associate professor Jen Shelton had this to say to local news, quote, "I think the whole university has been betrayed. I think even the provost did not expect it to look like this." The American Association of University Professors Texas Chapter, or AAUP for short, wrote, "We have collectively dedicated many decades of our careers to Texas Tech, proud to be part of an institution where students learn and faculty teach in an environment of rigorous inquiry, open debate, and intellectual freedom. Under this policy, the Constitution of the United States of America is rendered irrelevant. Academic freedom and the core mission of our university are sacrificed, and the Texas Tech University we knew no longer exists." The university is using their AI technology, yeah, you heard me, to scour the current courses offered at the school for any programs that could go against the new memorandum with the aim to ban the programs in the coming months. Family, this is so unoriginal, so unnecessary, and this is why so many universities, nonprofits, have removed their staffs from websites, have had to change the names of their programs, remove words that AI technology would catch so they can keep doing the work, but doing it out of the public eye, which makes it difficult for folks who are on the outside to find them. But it allows them to just try to survive in this moment. This is what we're trying to do right now, right? We're just looking to survive this moment. For our last story in politics, y'all remember when the crosswalk bans really started last year, and we reported about them, but also reported about the creative alternatives that the community took up, such as painting their own parking lot slots, right? I love that story. Or when they lit up the sky in that bold rainbow of light, it was so amazing to see, right? We gonna find a way. But here on the Trans Day of Visibility last month, Idaho Republicans succeeded in compelling Idaho Governor Brad into passing a state law that, quote, fined cities for flying flags that aren't on the legislature's pre-approved list. Now, we already know the pride flag is not on their what? Pre-approved list, essentially punishing any city that continue to fly the flag. Well, on the passing of the state law, Republican State Senator Ben Toll said the ultimate goal is for us to fly flags that unite, that don't divide. There's never been a time that a rainbow flag divided anybody. But I digress. The City Hall of Boise was quick to comply with the law and took their pride flag down soon after the law was passed. Officials who opposed the ban got crafty, okay? I love when we get crafty. And raised their own pride flag poles instead. The flag poles are painted in the rainbow that can also be found on the pride flag. In response to the new flag pole colors, the city of Boise had this to say: the art additions to the city hall demonstrate our unwavering commitment to the people that call Boise home and to the values that we uphold every day of being a safe and welcoming city for everyone. I love it. I love when we get creative, when we think outside the box, when we remind them that we are in fact not going anywhere. From the crosswalk bans in Florida and Texas to the pride flag bans in Utah and Idaho, it's obvious that conservatives aren't only coming for the equal rights of LGBTQ plus individuals, but they're coming for our symbols too. And they won't stop. These creative and artistic acts of resilience are proof that they'll never be able to truly erase our community, no matter how hard they try, no matter how much money they put towards the effort. They can't erase us. We've been here. We ain't going nowhere, right? Right. It's just ridiculous. There's so many things to care about, to focus their energies on, especially right now. It's such a waste of time to try to focus on this, because all we gonna do is fight back, and we will win. I wish they knew that. Family, let's take a quick break, huh? Let's take a quick break. Take a couple of deep breaths, and when we get back, we're gonna jump into culture and entertainment, okay? Stay close. Hey, Chicago family, we have some exciting news. City Clerk Anna Valencia is bringing back Amnesty Month. From April 1st through April 30th, you can purchase your Chicago City sticker without late fees or back charges. There are 3 ways to get your city sticker during Amnesty April. Visit any office of the City Clerk or Department of Finance location. Go to one of their 3 Saturday mobile City Hall events, where they'll also be printing city keys. And lastly, online at the City Clerk's 24/7 online store, easybuy.shycityclerk.com. Learn more by visiting shycityclerk.com/Amnesty Month. Remember, all city sticker purchases must be completed by April 30th, 2026, so don't miss out. If you're listening to this, it means we didn't sell this ad space. If you're listening to this, it means running ads on our podcast can actually work. You see what I did there? Do you need some promo? A little amplification? Hit us up at info@e3radio.fm. That's info@e3radio.fm. We have a platform. You should use it. Did you know we had a newsletter? Yes. The Queer News Podcast has a weekly newsletter that comes out every Monday. There's a special newsletter for the QCrew, but there's a free newsletter for absolutely everybody. So if you want to stay in the know about what I got going on, what I got to say unfiltered, and just a list of all the stories covered every single week with time codes, you got to subscribe to the newsletter. A link to subscribe is in the show notes. Welcome back to the show, family. Now let's get into some sports, culture, and entertainment. The WNBA Hall of Fame is extra queer this year, and we love to see it. Olympic gold medalists Cheryl Swoops, Jennifer Azzi, Shamiqua Holsclaw, Candace Parker, and Ella Della Dawn are the 5 queer women who are set to be inducted into the WNBA Hall of Fame later this year. Each woman on that list has an extensive career with the WNBA and is in no doubt vital to the organization's success. The WNBA nominating committee described this group as the squad's dominant performance helped elevate the global profile of women's basketball and contributed to the launch of the WNBA later that year. The nominees took to their social media to share their gratitude for the nominations. Candace Parker kept it short and sweet, writing, "I got it from the hall, y'all. Grateful for the love, to the game, and for it all." Shamiqua Holsclaw shared that words can't capture what I'm feeling. Staying present in this moment of celebration and reflection, grateful for everyone who's been part of this journey. I also saw that Candace Parker asked Dwayne Wade to accompany her into the hall. I just love this moment for them because each of them, I remember watching each and every one of these players play. They were doing it for the love of the game because there was no money for it. They were doing it for the love, and they all deserve. Swoops, Azzi, Holsclaw, Parker, Della Dawn, top flight, okay? So congratulations to all the nominees this year. The WNBA Hall of Fame induction ceremony will be held on August 14th and 15th. Additionally, All-Star Weekend is going to be held in Chicago later this summer. July 24th and 25th, that Friday and Saturday. But get this, that Thursday, July 23rd, I'm going to be co-hosting a queer WNBA trivia night alongside my homie Shayna of the Bad Queers podcast, okay? This trivia night is going to happen at the new women's sports bar, Level Sporting Club, here in the city of Chicago. So if you come into the city, you got to stop by, okay? And check us out. More details to come. Family, for our last story today, did you know that according to the Lesbian Bar Project, there are only 36 lesbian bars in the United States? 36. Now, if I compare that to the data from the National Institutes of Health, okay, in 2023, there were an estimated 803 gay bars. 803 gay bars in the United States. 36 lesbian bars? You can't even compare, okay? And that number is potentially about to drop to 35. But the Denver queer community came together in an attempt to save their only lesbian bar. The Pearl is Denver's only lesbian bar, and earlier this month they announced to their patrons that they would be closing at the end of the month. In a statement released by the bar, they said, quote, "We have worked tirelessly to find solutions and do everything in our power to avoid this conclusion." The bar owner said in the post, "Unfortunately, we are just not in a position to continue with our doors open while also ensuring our staff and beloved performers, entertainers, and DJs and event producers are properly compensated. Within hours of the announcement, the owners of the Pearl launched a GoFundMe for the beloved bar and expressed more about the financial burdens they faced since the move to their new venue last year. After unexpected challenges and a move to the historic Mercury Cafe, we're behind on costs, but committed to keeping this space open. Our events have brought so much queer joy. We can't stand to lose them, and seeing the response from you all wanting to keep us alive, we will give everything we have. And I truly think between our community and the Pearl's commitment, we can save this sacred lesbian space. Well, y'all know how we do. By the end of the day, the Denver queer community banded together and they raised over $83,000 for the Pearl. Since then, the owners have closed the GoFundMe, reassuring people that the funds will be allotted to their staff and to keeping the bar open through June. However, as of writing this story, my producer said their Instagram account has been deleted, and their website lists that the bar is closed, leaving many concerned about its future. And family, my producer said the plot continues to thicken as last week, members of the Pearl staff released their own joint statement revealing details about the GoFundMe funds and the owner who launched the crowdfunding campaign in the first place. The staff, in their written statement, they said, the staff came together and decided unanimously, that we could not in good conscience accept these GoFundMe funds with the likely chance of ending up in the exact same position in 3 months. They go on to ask people to report the GoFundMe as fraudulent, and that a lack of accountability on part of some of the ownership team has led to discord between the staff and owners of the bar. They conclude with, trust us when we say this is not the end of the Pearl. The Denver queer community has many questions. Child, I'm over here in Chicago and I got questions for the ownership. I got questions for the staff. But one thing looks abundantly clear. The Pearl will close at the end of this month, which is a shame and a tremendous loss for the queer community. Now, if you're curious about the other 30 plus lesbian bars, check out the Lesbian Bar Project. They're an Emmy, Webby, and GLAAD Media Award-winning docuseries aimed to celebrate, support, and amplify the remaining lesbian bars that exist in the United States. In addition to the docuseries, they have information about all 36 lesbian bars on their website, lesbianbarproject.com. I went to go check it out, and it's pretty dope. You should too. Now it's time for Anna's Got a Word, because Anna's always got a word. And my word for today is inspired by the panel that I co-moderated for Lesbian Visibility Week. And we played a short clip, yes, at the top of the show. And I shared a little bit about it. It was called The Terms We Use. And the word I want to share with you all today is define you for you. Child, there will always be more terms. If we're doing what we're supposed to do here in this queer community, by drawing the circle wider, welcoming everybody in, there will always be a new term that someone is using, or a term that people want to reclaim for themselves. And when we have an intergenerational panel like that, from Gen Xers to Gen Zers, millennials up in here in the middle, and we all have different lived experiences, different socio-economic positions and locations, we will always have a different word we use. The cultural implications of certain words. Don't let nobody define you for you. I don't care what age you are. Choose whatever word resonates the most with you. Don't use the other ones. Define you for you. Live a good life, okay? The world is on fire. There are so many things that we can be doing with our time. And truly, knowing who you are and defining you for you is probably the greatest gift you could ever give yourself. So do that, okay? Don't let nobody else define you. Now, till next week. Peace. If you've enjoyed what you heard, rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app. This podcast is written and produced by me, Anna Deshawn. Podcast editing by Ryan Woodhall, and brought to you by E3 Radio and distributed on The Cube. We are Queer News Done Right.